Normally, I wouldn't even entertain this, but the fact that you mentioned my children, I'm not letting that ride.
For 15 years, they were the untouchable blueprint of hip-hop loyalty. When the industry was built on fleeting romances and broken promises, they were the exception. The man who literally put his career on ice to marry his wife behind bars. But right now, the pedestal is cracking. According to public discussion, the foundation of the most celebrated marriage in the culture is collapsing. And it isn't just about infidelity rumors or battle rap drama. It's much darker. It's reached a boiling point where the most patient man in music had to finally draw a line in the sand. Industry observers noticed the shift months ago. The solo red carpet appearances, the subtle silence, the cryptic energy. But no one expected the internet chatter to bleed into the safety of their home. Supporters believed it was just another media storm they would weather together, until the ultimate boundary was crossed. What exactly pushed him to this breaking point? Who crossed the line? And what happens when a man who sacrificed everything realizes loyalty was only a one-way street? Today, we are breaking down the exact timeline of the ultimate alleged betrayal.
Since this whole situation happened, everybody know I never said nothing. The only time I said something was the last time when she tried to clout chase with the whole fake thing she tried to put on Instagram before.
To understand the sheer magnitude of this alleged betrayal, we have to rewind to a time when loyalty wasn't just a trending topic on Twitter. It was a tangible, heavy burden. In 2008, the hip-hop landscape was entirely different, and Remy Ma was sitting on top of it. She was the undisputed queen of New York, heavily co-signed by Terror Squad, and seemingly untouchable. Then, one violent night outside a Manhattan nightclub changed the trajectory of 2 lives permanently. When the gavel dropped and Remy was handed an 8-year sentence for intentional assault, the industry did what the industry always does. They distanced themselves. Executives stopped calling. Radio stations stopped playing her records. The massive entourage vanished overnight. But one person refused to move. Papoose wasn't just a boyfriend. He was a rising star with a legendary buzz, holding a $1.5 million deal with Jive Records. He had the city in the palm of his hand. Instead of protecting his own massive investment, he made a calculation that defied every rule in the music business. He anchored his entire existence to a woman locked behind concrete and steel. The dedication was so intense, so raw, that it literally bordered on desperation. Just one day before Remy's sentencing, authorities allegedly caught Papoose attempting to smuggle a handcuff key into Rikers Island. Whether it was a misguided rescue mission or a misunderstanding, the consequence was severe. He was banned from visiting her for 6 months. They were forced to cancel their planned courthouse wedding, eventually marrying over the phone while she was incarcerated. The optics were brutal. Critics in the media mocked him. Rival rappers used his dedication as a punchline in their verses. Public discussion labeled him foolish for throwing away his prime years.
You had the audacity to mention my child, and you had the audacity to mention me not seeing my daughter, when ever since I left, she has not allowed me to see my daughter.
But Papoose weaponized a mockery. He turned his solo career into a relentless 6-year PR campaign for his wife. Every mixtape he dropped, every radio interview he secured, every freestyle he spit had one central thesis. Remy Ma is coming home. He became her public defender, her manager, and the sole keeper of her legacy. He paid the lawyers. He supported her family. He visited the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility so frequently that the guards knew him by his first name. The payoff finally arrived on August 1st, 2014. When Remy walked out of those prison doors, the narrative instantly flipped. The man who was once mocked was suddenly crowned the ultimate king of loyalty. The culture collectively apologized to Papoose. They became the undisputed blueprint for ride or die. Capitalizing on this hard-earned reputation, they transitioned into television royalty. Love and hip-hop didn't just rebuild their finances. It monetized their trauma and their triumph. Viewers tuned in weekly not for the drama, but to witness a functional, deeply committed black marriage surviving against impossible odds. Papoose was universally celebrated as the gold standard of husbands. They welcomed a daughter. They renewed their vows. From the outside looking in, The 2008 nightmare had been completely paved over with million-dollar contracts and industry respect. But survival creates a strange psychological dynamic. When you spend 6 years fighting just to exist, the peace that follows can sometimes feel foreign. As Remy reclaimed her independence and her spotlight, she began seeking out new arenas to conquer. She launched Chrome 23, diving headfirst into the hyper-aggressive, unfiltered world of battle rap. This wasn't the polished, scripted world of reality television. Battle rap is an entirely different ecosystem. It is an industry built entirely on disrespect, shock value, and exposing hidden truths for crowd reactions. It was here, in this unregulated environment, that the armor Papoose has spent 15 years building around his family began to crack. The culture that once crowned them was about to become the very machine that tore them apart. And it started with a whisper that nobody wanted to believe. Chrome 23 wasn't just a side hustle for Remy Ma. It was a statement of power. She had successfully transitioned from an artist to a boss, creating a platform that gave female battle rappers unprecedented visibility. But in the process of building this empire, she immersed herself entirely in an ecosystem that thrives on controversy. Battle rap does not respect boundaries. It is a blood sport of words where personal lives are routinely dragged onto stage for a crowd's entertainment. And it was within this volatile environment that a dangerous new character entered the narrative. Easy the Block Captain was a rising force in the culture, charismatic, aggressive, and highly visible. As Remy expanded her league, her professional proximity to Easy began to increase. They were seen at the same events, coordinating behind the scenes, operating within the same tight-knit circles. At first, the interactions were easily dismissed as strictly business, a league owner mentoring or collaborating with a prominent talent. The whisper started in the dark corners of battle rap forums. Fans began dissecting their body language during interviews. They analyzed the frequency of their appearances together. In a vacuum, these observations meant nothing. But battle rap culture is desperate for a storyline. The rumor mill began churning out unverified claims that the professional relationship had crossed into personal territory. Initially, the mainstream hip-hop media ignored the noise. Papoose and Remy had a 15-year track record. A few internet rumors weren't enough to shake a foundation built on a 6-year prison bid. The culture assumed it was just kayfabe, fake drama engineered to sell tickets and generate clicks for upcoming battles. Papoose, maintaining his stoic, solid archetype, did not dignify the whispers with response. He played his position, letting his wife handle her business. The tipping point arrived under the blinding lights of a live battle. When you step into the ring, nothing is off limits. Legendary battle rapper Geechee Gotti stood face-to-face with Easy the Block Captain and weaponized the rumors. In front of a live audience and thousands streaming at home, Geechee delivered scathing rounds directly referencing the alleged affair between Easy and Remy Ma. He didn't just hint at it. He painted a vivid, humiliating picture, broadcasting the deepest disrespect possible to Papoose on the very platform his wife created. The barrier between underground battle rap theater and mainstream reality shattered instantly. The footage went viral. What was once a niche rumor was now the #1 trending topic in hip-hop. The public watched, holding its collective breath, waiting for the fallout. The dynamic had shifted from a private marital issue to a public humiliation campaign. The internet trolls descended, turning the man who was once crowned the king of loyalty into the punchline of a cruel joke. They called his 15-year sacrifice a foolish mistake. Despite the overwhelming pressure, Papoose attempted to hold the line. He continued to operate in silence, refusing to let the media circus drag him out of character. But the internet is a relentless machine, and when silence doesn't yield a reaction, the agitators escalate their tactics. The commentary stopped targeting just a couple. The rumors mutated. Lines are universally respected in the streets, and the industry were casually stepped over. The digital mob brought their children into the crossfire. For a man who put his entire life on hold to build a family, an attack on his legacy was one thing. An attack on his children was the absolute psychological trigger. The stoicism vanished. The 15 years of PR discipline evaporated. The most patient man in hip-hop picked up his camera. He didn't just break his silence. He issued a direct, chilling confirmation that the situation had escalated from internet gossip into dangerous, real-world territory. He was drawing a line in the sand, preparing to go to war for his family's respect. But just when the public thought Papoose's stern warning would force the instigators to back down, and the true facts would finally be laid on the table, a sudden, deafening silence from the one person who should have defended him changed the entire narrative. The real betrayal wasn't what was being said on the battle rap stage. It was what wasn't being said at home. The internet thrives on reaction. When Papoose dropped that video, the culture braced for the inevitable response. They expected the old Remy Ma, the fiercely loyal, highly defensive partner who would publicly dismantle anyone disrespecting her husband's name. But the response never came. In a PR crisis of this magnitude, silence is deafening. The timeline of her digital footprint became the focus of intense scrutiny. Days turned into weeks. While the entire hip-hop media apparatus debated the destruction of her marriage, she continued business as usual. This calculated, eerie quiet forced the public to read between the lines. Industry insiders noted that in the world of brand management, ignoring a rumor is standard procedure, unless the rumor is tearing apart your core identity. By refusing to validate Papoose's defense, the silence felt like an admission of a fractured home. The physical distance soon matched the digital silence. The couple, historically inseparable at industry functions, began arriving at events solo. This wasn't just a shift in optics. It was a structural change in how they navigated the business. They were no longer operating as a unified front. The consequences of the battle rap fallout were materializing in real time, severing the collaborative brand they had spent millions building. But Papoose wasn't entirely silent. While he avoided addressing the salacious details, he made a conscious choice regarding how he framed the timeline of events. He didn't call it a rumor. He didn't call it a misunderstanding. Since this whole situation happened, that singular phrase was the climax of the speculation. By labeling the crisis as a situation, he confirmed that an event actually occurred. He validated that the timeline the public was obsessing over wasn't entirely fabricated. He acknowledged the reality of the crisis without weaponizing the details. It was the most heartbreaking confirmation the culture could receive. The perfect marriage was, in fact, navigating a legitimate, deeply damaging event. The real-world consequences extended far beyond the Chrome 23 stage. The archetype was shattered. The public reaction shifted from mocking Papoose to a collective mourning of the black love standard they once represented. The narrative wasn't about who did what anymore. It was about the tragic reality that a bond forged in the fires of a 6-year prison sentence could seemingly be dismantled by the toxic machinery of modern internet culture. They survived the legal system. They survived the financial ruin. But as the dust began to settle, the industry was left wondering if they could survive the damage inflicted by the very culture that once crowned them. The legacy of their loyalty was forever stained, leaving a fractured family unit trying to pick up the pieces in the dark. As we stand today, the ultimate hip-hop fairy tale remains in a state of suspended animation. The empire they built together is visibly fractured, and the man who once shouted his loyalty from every radio station in New York is now navigating his reality in guarded, calculated silence. The legal papers might not have defined the ending yet, but the public optics have already written a tragic final chapter. But the biggest mystery still haunts the timeline. Who specifically crossed the ultimate boundary to bring their children into the crosshairs of internet gossip? And more importantly, can a relationship built on 15 years of extreme sacrifice survive a public humiliation of this magnitude? I want to hear your psychological breakdown in the comments. Did the toxic, unregulated world of battle rap destroy Remy and Papoose's marriage? Or did it simply expose the cracks that were already hiding behind the reality TV cameras? If you want us to keep pulling back the curtain on the industry's darkest, most hidden stories, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because in this business, extreme loyalty might buy you a few years of peace. But eventually, the culture always collects its debt.